The most painful part of growing old is not being poor or sick, but feeling lonely in a house where your children also live. When we are young, we often think, as long as my children are around me when I grow old, I will be happy. But reality brings tears to the eyes of many elderly people. Some quietly endure the indifference of their children. Some break down and cry in homes full of material comforts, but completely void of warmth and connection. There are grandparents who spent their entire lives working hard for their children only to end up with one word: ungrateful. And that ungratefulness does not always come from harsh actions, but from cold hearts, carelessness, and long periods of being forgotten. Why do children become more and more distant from their parents? Why do some elderly people sacrifice their entire lives only to be seen as a burden by the very people they gave life to? In this video, we will take a hard look at 4 deep-rooted reasons why many parents cry in silence because of their children. More importantly, we will explore ways to help you stop feeling lonely and hopeless as you grow older. Before we begin, leave a positive affirmation in the comments below, something like "I deserve to be loved at every age," or any message you want to send to yourself. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you will not miss out on meaningful and healing videos like this. Together, we will get through old age not with tears, but with true understanding and love, the kind that heals. So what makes children change? Why can family bonds break down so badly? Let us take a closer look at 4 quiet but painful reasons why many elderly parents cry in silence because of their children. Reason number 1: trusting and expecting too much from your children. When we are young, we work without rest and endure without complaint, all for one simple dream: to raise our children well, so that when we grow old, we will feel warm inside, just hearing them call us mom or dad. After countless years of hard work, late nights, early mornings, skipped meals, and silent tears, all we want is for our children to have a better life than we did. And deep down, every parent holds on to one belief: one day my child will love me the way I have always loved them. But then one day, the truth cuts like a cold blade straight to the heart. That child you once held in your arms is now grown up, married, living their own life, and slowly the distance between you grows. The phone calls become fewer. The conversations feel shallow. Visits home are rushed obligations. Sometimes you do not see your child's face for an entire year, even though they live just a few streets away. Every time you hear someone proudly talk about how caring their child is, your heart aches, because you once believed your child would be like that too. No one can blame parents for sacrificing, but the more you give without keeping anything for yourself, the deeper the pain becomes when your children do not live up to your expectations. Some elderly people have sold their homes to give to their children, handed over land titles, signed over vehicles, divided up their savings, and now live in tiny rooms like tenants. Some have never dared to spend even a single new dollar on themselves, yet willingly gave it all away, so their children could buy a house, pay off debt, or get married. And when they become weak, ill, and in need of a comforting hand, the person they trusted most is often the first to turn their back. The higher the expectations, the deeper the disappointment. But this kind of pain is not just disappointment, it is the feeling of betrayal, as if the love you gave your entire life now means nothing. Many elderly people do not dare to speak up. They do not dare to blame their children because they are still afraid of making them upset, afraid of causing tension in the family. They continue to defend their children, even while silently crying themselves to sleep. Some wounds do not bleed, but they quietly ache every night. Some birthdays pass without a single word. Sickness comes and no one checks in. Lunar New Year arrives and no one visits. And still they tell themselves, maybe my child is just busy. But the truth is, these parents have placed too much trust and too many expectations in their children, and forgot the most important thing of all old age is a time to live for yourself, not to live off the hope of someone else. Reason number 2, giving everything away too early. One of the most painful mistakes many parents have made is giving away everything they own to their children while they are still alive. From the home they live in, to the land they saved up for their entire lives, to their bank accounts, insurance policies, and control over their finances. Everything is handed over with the belief, this is my child. They would never hurt me. But sadly, life does not operate on feelings, and people's hearts do not stay the same forever. Many elderly people have found themselves subtly pushed out of homes they once owned. Some transferred property ownership just so their children could feel more secure building a life, only to end up being sent to a nursing home or forced to stay with distant relatives. Others become strangers in their own home, especially after their children get married and have kids of their own, treating their aging parents like an unnecessary burden. Love cannot be measured in money, but the right to make your own decisions is something you should never give up. When you give away everything, you also give up your ability to choose to speak up and to feel secure in old age. And once you lose that control, it is incredibly difficult to get it back. You cannot ask your children to listen when you have nothing left in your hands to care for yourself. The painful truth is not every child has the morality, understanding, or compassion to value what you have given them. Some take everything and forget everything. Some keep their promises for a few months, then turn their backs the moment you are too weak to cook, babysit, or help anymore. Old age is already full of losses. Do not make it worse by handing over everything that keeps you independent. You can love your children, support your children, but always keep something for yourself. Even if it is just a small savings account, a private room, or the power to make your own decisions, it is how you protect your dignity and happiness. And most importantly, when you still hold the right to choose for yourself, whether your children care or not, you still have the power to live the life you want, instead of being forced to accept the life someone else allows you to have. Reason number 3, not preparing for an independent old age. Old age does not arrive all of a sudden. It creeps in slowly, starting from when you have trouble sleeping, when your knees hurt, going up the stairs when you forget where you left your keys, or when you suddenly realize you cannot remember what day it is. But what comes the fastest and hurts the most is the realization that you have grown old and there is no one truly there for you. Many people reach their twilight years with empty hands, not because they never made money, but because they spent their entire lives giving everything away and kept nothing for themselves. Everything that could be given to their children, they gave. The house, the savings, the gold, the energy, the youth. They believed that when they grew old, their children would be their safety net, their source of comfort. But life does not work according to a parent's heart. And even if your children love you, they still have their own busy lives to manage. Because they did not prepare to age independently when their children start neglecting them, many elderly people feel completely lost. They do not know what to do, where to go, or who to turn to. That feeling is not just about being poor, it is about being emotionally abandoned, still living in the house, but feeling like a ghost in the background. Many seniors do not have their own bank account, no emergency fund. They are afraid to spend money, thinking they should save it for their kids. They do not go out, do not enjoy anything. Thinking, I am old, what is there left to enjoy? They cut off friendships and social connections because their daughter-in-law disapproves or their son-in-law is annoyed. Step by step, they lock themselves into dependency, and when their children become busy or distant, they fall into a mental crisis with no one to call. The truth is, a happy old age must be prepared for while you are still healthy. That is not selfishness, it is wisdom. It means setting aside a little money so you never have to ask. It means taking care of your health, not just to live long, but to live well. It means maintaining friendships so someone can call you when you are sad, sit beside you when you feel lonely. It means learning to love yourself and gradually getting used to living for yourself, not just revolving around your children or grandchildren. Preparing for independent aging is also how you show your children that parents are not burdens. We were once strong, once self-sufficient, once capable of loving ourselves. So now when we need help, the love we receive is not pity, but respect. If you feel empty, too dependent or sad, just thinking about growing old, remember, it is never too late to start. Starting today, you can save a little, just for yourself. You can sign up for a class or attend a community event. You can call an old friend or even just tidy up your room and refresh your space. Every small action is the first step to reclaiming your life in old age for you. Reason number 4. Silently enduring and hurting yourself. There is a kind of pain that no one sees and no one hears because it is never spoken out loud. It is the pain of parents who silently suffer without complaining, without blaming, without saying a word, just shedding tears alone in the quiet of the night. Parents live their entire lives for others. From a young age, they become used to sacrificing, to giving in, to holding everything together so their children can feel safe. But that habit of enduring does not go away with age, it only sinks deeper and becomes more persistent. The older they get, the less they speak. The weaker they become, the less they dare to ask for anything. The more they are forgotten by their children, the harder they try to justify it. My child is just busy, they do not mean to hurt me. And so all the hurt, all the tears just flow inward. No one sees it, no one hears it. But it slowly eats away at their self-respect, at every bit of joy left in life. Some elderly parents are scolded by their children, but do not dare to talk back. Some are mistreated yet still defend their children in front of others. Some live in their children's homes but feel like guests, walking softly, speaking carefully, afraid to turn the television up, afraid to invite a friend over. They call it keeping the peace at home, but in truth, it is a silent, slow-burning hurt that destroys them from within. Even worse, that silence is often misunderstood by their children. They think their parents have no feelings. They think grandma and grandpa do not need anything, or they are old. They do not care about emotions anymore. They do not realize that a single indifferent sentence, a meal missed, or a cold look can make the parents who once fought the whole world to raise them feel like they no longer matter. That silence is not peace. It is surrender. It is the feeling of giving up, of accepting that they have been forgotten. And the longer they stay silent, the more invisible they become in their own family. It is time for the elderly to speak up for themselves, not to argue, not to create conflict, but to hold on to the dignity, value, and self-worth that they deserve. Speak up when you are sad. Share when you feel lonely. Ask to be respected, to be heard, to be treated with kindness, not because you are a parent, but because you are a human being. Silence has never been a sign of strength. True strength is knowing how to protect your own feelings, knowing how to set boundaries, and knowing how to love yourself, even if others do not. Old age should not be a time of suffering. It should be a peaceful chapter where you get to live as your truest self, without pressure, without pretending. And remember, this love does not mean silence. It means having the courage to stand up so that you are no longer a victim of someone else's neglect. If your children are no longer what you had hoped for, then, instead of continuing to hurt and grieve, why not learn to live more peacefully? Because old age can still be full of happiness, even if your children are not as loving as you wished. There is one truth that only becomes clear as we grow older. Children are a blessing, a bond of blood and love, but they are not responsible for making us happy. Not every child understands their parents' hearts. Not every love is returned with gratitude. And not every parent is guaranteed to be loved by their children forever. But that does not mean your life loses all meaning. In fact, if you look closely, you will see there are still so many things worth living for, even in loneliness. Instead of continuing to suffer because of your children's indifference, why not turn your care back to yourself? Why not begin a new journey, even if it is late in life, one where you get to live a peaceful, meaningful, and truly joyful old age? Life is not just about family. Even without your children by your side, you can still have friends, companions, a community, people just like you who have also been hurt, disappointed, but still choose to keep walking forward with their own steady feet. You can start with the simplest, most meaningful things. Join a local seniors group, where there are gentle meetups, where you can listen and be heard. Call an old friend you have not seen in years. Meet up for coffee, take a walk in the park, reminisce about beautiful memories from your youth. Try signing up for a new class, painting, gardening, yoga, or even just learning how to use a smartphone to stay connected with the world. If you have the means, do not hesitate to plan a trip somewhere you have always dreamed of visiting, but never had the chance. Live as if you are starting a brand new youth, a youth that is finally just for you. Old age does not mean the end. It is simply another chapter, a time to slow down, to look inward, and to finally learn how to love yourself like never before. You have spent your whole life caring for others, sacrificing too much for your family. Now it is time to care for your own soul, so that each morning you wake up, your heart feels lighter, your life feels brighter, and your smile no longer feels forced. And it is truly amazing when you change the way you live, the energy you give off, the way you treat yourself. Others, including your children, will start to see you differently. A strong, positive, independent parent will make their children reflect. You might even become the example they follow. And maybe, just maybe, the love you thought was lost will return in the most unexpected way. Stop living in waiting. Stop placing your happiness in someone else's hands, not even your children's. Be the one who takes hold of your own happiness. Live with peace. Live fully as if you have never been hurt. Because the one person who can stay with you until the very end is only you. But are children truly heartless? Or is there something deeper that causes them to change? To understand this better, we need to take an honest look at a reality that is worth reflecting on today. When thinking back on the pain they have endured, many parents find themselves asking, why did my child change? They used to be so loving. They once promised to take care of me for the rest of my life. That question hurts not just because of the disappointment, but because of something deeper. We no longer understand our children. But if we look at things fairly and realistically, many of the so-called ungrateful behaviors today are not due to cruelty, but because our children are living in a completely different world. A world that moves too fast, is too busy, and filled with pressure and constant change. Children are buried in worries, money jobs, housing their own children, debt competition, to the point where they barely have time for themselves, let alone enough energy to be attentive to their parents' delicate emotions. On top of that, many elderly people struggle to keep up with the times. They still hold on to the ways of thinking, living, and speaking of their own generation, while their children were raised in a completely different environment. This causes the generation gap to grow wider and wider. A comment meant with love might be seen as controlling. A gentle reminder might be misunderstood as interfering. A caring act might even be labeled as annoying. All of these misunderstandings, if left unresolved, accumulate into emotional distance, and over time, family bonds grow cold. So instead of simply feeling sad or placing blame, elderly parents can choose a gentler path, a path of learning to open their hearts. Open your heart to understand that your children have their own struggles. Open your heart to accept that each generation expresses love in different ways. Some children may not say "I love you," but still provide everything their parents need. Some may not call often, but quietly send money and care from afar. At the same time, you can also start learning a bit of technology. You do not have to be an expert, just enough to send a message, make a video call, or look at pictures of your grandchildren. That alone can help close the distance. More importantly, take the first step to reach out. Do not wait for your children to go first. A simple message. A kind compliment or a surprise phone call can be enough to warm up a relationship that has gone cold. When you change your perspective and open your heart, the beautiful thing is, the pain will begin to soften, the sadness will begin to fade, and you will feel more at peace. Not because your children have changed, but because you now understand enough to stop expecting things from the wrong place. Old age is not the end. It is a new chapter, a time when you have the right to live for yourself, to stop carrying heavy burdens, and to stop trying to please anyone. Whether your children care or turn away, whether the world changes or stays the same, you will always deserve to be loved, to be heard, and to live a life that is full, starting from within your own soul. If something in this video has touched something deep within your heart, leave a comment below as a gentle affirmation. I choose to live in peace and to cherish myself every day. That is more than just a sentence. It is a quiet but powerful shift. And if you feel that these messages are helpful for you, or could be helpful for someone you care about, do not forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel, so we can continue walking through old age together, not just with tears, but with healing understanding and a gentle light from within.